This is definitely one of the runs that I did not really prioritize in my marathon training before. I remember I would only do 2 or 3 days towards the end of my training. I did improve my marathon times before, but I remember I always kind of struggle like covering the entire distance. Yeah, every time I run the marathon, I'd feel like, I'd feel like good from the start until I reach that that like around mile 20 of the race. And that's where for me, like, it's becoming really, really challenging. So I remember this race back in 2017 where I actually ran this race for me to qualify for Boston. I would say, guys, that's probably like one of my best races that I ran because I executed this race very, very well. Yeah, I remember from the start of that race, I was really feeling good and I was just pacing this race very well. I hit my halfway point of the race, like literally on point. Like I hit like 1:32:30, which is like really like the pace that I need to run for me to qualify for Boston. And when I reached that mile 20, I even told myself, like I said, like I think this is the day for me to achieve my my qualifying time for Boston, because yeah, I was just feeling good. I was like running really, really well for the big part of this race until like that last couple miles. And I just don't know what happened. I was like running the race really well. I was like pacing it like very efficient, but I could not like hold the pace anymore for the last couple miles. And then the worst thing is when I was like getting closer to the finish line, I saw the clock, and yeah, I missed my qualifying standard by a minute. And it was tough for me because like yeah, I was very, very close to getting that goal and it slipped away. After that race, literally like I thought of like I need to do more of quality long runs because I just could not hold that last couple miles of the race. It's because I think I just didn't do enough long runs for this training. So now fast forward to 2022 and 2023. So these are the two marathon build-ups that I want to share with you guys, because these two build-ups I was really able to track all my workouts and my mileage from week 1 all the way to the final week. So yeah, 2022, where I ran 3 hours and 34 seconds. So this is actually a 12-week build-up, and I'm not gonna include that final week because the final week is the race week, so I don't do any more long runs for that week. So for this build-up, I ran a total of 9 long runs out of 11 weeks. And 6 of these long runs are actually like quality long runs. So that includes like my marathon specific long runs, like long threshold, like tempo and stuff like that. And then 3 of these are easy. And then this is the other thing that I want to point out, guys. 7 of these long runs are run actually like in the 2-hour range or even longer. So jump to 2023, where I ran 2:57:23, and this build up is 14 weeks. So like I said, I don't include the final week because like that's the race week and I don't do long run anymore. Here I ran a total of 13 long runs out of like 13 weeks. So like yeah, literally like 1 long run per week here. So 8 of these long runs are quality. Like I said, like quality long runs are like include like marathon specific workouts, long thresholds and stuff. And then 5 of these are like easy ones. And then 9 of these long runs are like in the 2 hour range or longer. So yeah, these two build-ups are actually almost like similar. The only difference is like where I ran the 257, I had actually a little bit more weeks. And this two build-ups, guys, for the 3 hours 34, I actually only ran like 44.4 miles per week here. And then the 257, I ran like 45 miles a week. So it's about the same mileage per week. To be honest with you guys, I think for my goal, I think my mileage is actually kind of low, because I think the ideal mileage, if you're trying to shoot for like a sub 3 hour marathon, I think it's supposed to be at least in the 50 miles or even more. So yeah, like mine is only 44.4 for the first one, and then 45 for, you know, the other one. Yeah, for me that's actually pretty low for my goal. But I still able to like run really well in these two marathons. Like the first one, I only missed it by 34 seconds because my goal for that was like sub 3. And then the second one, I was able to hit my goal. Yeah, so in my opinion, like even though I had a pretty low mileage for both of these build-ups, I was still able to like run really well, because the long run kind of bridges that gap to give me like an overall fitness to prepare for the marathon. A marathon is 26.2 miles, so that's a very long distance. So if you want to run well in the marathon, first you need to be comfortable at the distance. Before, I didn't do a lot of these, and every time I run the race, like it's always in my mind that I'm not really sure what's gonna happen to me at this distance, or will I cover the distance really well. So it's just like at the back of my mind, I always have that kind of fear, like what's gonna happen, and I'm just always hoping that things would go well for me. But now that I really like focus and prioritizing these long runs, and that's how I become like really more comfortable at the distance, because I've done it so many times. And also the fact that I said that I run like so many like 2 hour runs. Just try to think of this. My goal is like sub 3 hour marathon, and I run like, can't remember, but I run like a lot of like 2 hour runs, and some of these runs are even like longer than that. And my goal, like I said, is like sub 3. So that's more than half of the time that I'm actually becoming more comfortable. And then the other thing, guys, is like every time I do this, I'm starting to learn how to pace myself. Before, yeah, I did not even know how to pace the long run. I would just like go and run, and sometimes I would actually like run this like pretty fast from the start, and then I would struggle towards the end. Yeah, I just did not really know how to pace myself before. Now, because I've done this so many times, of course from the start it doesn't, you know, sometimes it doesn't like go very well from the start, but I always have a lot of opportunities to actually like fix that. And that's how I learned to actually like really pace myself. Now when I run the marathon, I just run it by myself. Before I would like normally like run with a pace group, but like I said, it's because I've done this so many times in my build-up that I start to learn how to pace myself. In some ways that's actually very good, because I know exactly how to be efficient by running the distance, and I know exactly the effort that I need for me to hold the pace towards the end. And then lastly, guys, before, when I go to the race, like I always have this in the back of my mind, like I'm not sure what's gonna happen to me after like the mile 20, because I know that the mile 20 is always the wall of the marathon, and that's always kind of like in the back of my mind, that I'm just hoping that things would go well for me, that I'm not gonna hit that wall of the marathon. yeah, after that mark, I know it's gonna be very tough for me. Now, when I go to the race, that doesn't even bother me anymore because I know exactly what's gonna happen to me at that point of the race. Because yeah, I've done so many 2 hour runs and then also like the 20 plus miler long runs. So I know that if I can do it in training, of course I can do it in the race as well. So yeah, that's why last year's race, when I actually hit that mile 20, I was still able to push the pace. Yeah, because I said it's because like I've done this in training, so I know exactly what's gonna happen to me. I know guys, it's not easy to do a long run, and actually this is one of the reasons why I didn't prioritize this in my training before, because yeah, long run is just hard. You know, it's really challenging, it's daunting, especially if you're doing it by yourself. But of course, like, this is really the most important run in the marathon, because the marathon is a distance, like it's a very long distance race. So if you want to cover the distance really well, you need to be comfortable at it. Like, to be honest with you guys, I'm still like kind of like always intimidated doing the long run because it's tough. But what I do right now, like to make this a little bit more, I would say like a little bit easier, is like I start somewhere where I'm comfortable. For example, my last build up, my first long run was 10 miles. So, and then from there, I just start like adding that, like after that 10, I think I ran 13 and then 15, 18, all the way to 23 miles. So yeah, just start adding like a little bit each week, because your body will eventually adjust to that. And yeah, you will, like I said, you will eventually get used to this distance, and that's how I actually did in my build-ups. So this is all for today, guys. Thank you again so much for being here today, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog.